Dr. Homebrew is brought to you by 5 Star Chemicals, providing safety and cleaning supplies for brewing, distilling, and winemaking at 5starchemicals.com.
Doctor, look.
Stand aside, nurse. I'm Dr. Homebrew.
Stand clear.
Everybody to the show. This is Dr. Homebrew. Hope everyone is out there doing okay. I'm a little mixed up today. It's still trying to move and do all my crap, and my brain hurts. You guys know how that goes, I'm sure.
I'm tired. I drove 10 hours yesterday.
10 hours straight?
Yeah, we went up to the eclipse, so...
all the way to the sun? That's
the
moon.
Apocalypse.
Which one?
Yeah, we actually...
The moon, right? Not the sun.
Yeah, we wanted the eclipse to be bigger, so we flew up towards the moon while it was going on.
All right, and how was that?
It was pretty amazing, man.
Did you get up to the totality or whatever?
We did. We had a minute and 10 seconds of totality in Prineville, Oregon.
You take off your pants while...
And ironically, all of our contestants come from Prineville today, I think. What was that?
Nothing.
No.
But it was a good time? You had fun? The kid knew what was going on? Or was the kid hiding because
Don't look at the sun. Don't look at the sun. Dave has partially covered. Don't look at it.
You had the glasses?
No, actually, the kid had to take a dump, right? 2 minutes before totality was scheduled. Daddy, I have to go. Okay. Can I wait? No, I need to go now. So I'm in the bathroom with him, helping him out.
Yeah.
And I'm glancing at the door. It's still almost. And then I go back in and help him out and get him finished up. And then we walk out and it's pitch black. It's totality. And we both look straight up. And
nice.
Oh man. Well, not straight up. But yeah, it was 10, 20 in the morning there. So.
That's when you teach your kid the benefits of clinching, man. I mean, come on. I don't think I would ever do that. I wouldn't just...
No, I would have been viewing totality with, Daddy, no, I'm stressed.
That would have been around.
It would have been way worse.
If it's dark, he could just take his pants off and just went on the ground right there.
Just let him plop out, dude.
I just pictured myself having spent thousands of dollars on the Airbnbs that they raised to astronomical rates, and it was 3 times the cost.
Wow.
So we took the leap of faith and got a 3-bedroom place. So it was a few bills, but I got some brewing buddies to go up there with me from the Nazis, and it was pretty fun.
Okay,
and one guy brought some family out from the East Coast.
Okay.
They could have just gone down to Carolina there, but they came out this way instead.
Hey, whatever, man. That's all good.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
It was fun.
I didn't do shit. I mean, I did. I tried. I built someone left a Heineken box. Not a Heineken box. A Lagunitas box. I get those two confused.
Yeah. Why?
Thank you for that. And I tried to build a viewer out of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I had, the offset. You look here on one side, but you have the pinhole on the other side of the thing. And I put the pinhole and I put it up, and it was getting kind of dark, kind of brown, right? And I'm like, oh, that's cool. I can see, those little crescent. And then I'm like, that's dope, dude. And then about 30 seconds later, I put it up and I see the little crescent again, and it hasn't moved. And I'm like, huh.
Cool.
So about 2 minutes later, when everything started kind of lightening up again, I put it to my eye, and there's a little crescent. I'm like, fuck, I fucking ruined the thing. I poked a hole, a kitty corner or something.
Poked a crescent-shaped hole.
Yeah, and I'm just like, what did I just do? So I have a permanent partial eclipse now.
Because all the time you wanted it. And just hey.
In my Lagunitas box.
For me, I didn't have to wear sunglasses. I just had the fog to protect me from the eclipse. I just looked up, and there was the fog.
Yeah.
But I did break through for a minute and took a couple of pictures, and was showed it to my wife. wife, and she was like, I can't even see it in those pictures. And I'm like, yeah.
It is hard to take pictures, man. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, out in Oakley, which is where I live now, which is like 20 minutes away from my old house. It's it was like perfectly bright and clear, but here in Concord it was overcast, and so my wife was like taking pictures, and her pictures came out just fine. She could look right up at it because the clouds acted like a filter, and she got to see it. I saw the inside of a Heineken box.
You were there.
So what are you going to do?
Yeah, I brought a couple colanders, too, and they'll project, 100 different images of the sun. I was like, the kids kind of dug that. That was something I'd heard on NPR. It's like,
well, that's cool.
It just shoots a bunch of images on it. You just kind of focus it on the sidewalk. And yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's dope. And then you made spaghetti, and that's...
We did. How did you know?
Because what else are you going to use a colander for?
Yeah.
Once the eclipse is over.
I mean, I could have. They did have a colander at the Airbnb, so
see,
I could have had a bonus one, but I didn't actually use my colanders that I had brought for the spaghetti. But we did cook spaghetti that night.
I figured you did.
I figured you were going to wear it on your head and protect yourself from the eclipse by wearing it on your head.
I did wear it on my head briefly.
It's like we know who you are, Brian.
You guys know me too well. Here's a picture of me with my good buddy Brandon.
This is great for radio, by the way.
Wearing colanders on my head.
There you go.
There you go, man.
It's true. He's the guy. He's not lying.
What else did I do that day, guy? Were you there?
We were right behind you. You could see us in the background.
I couldn't see you.
Before we get started, I want to thank our sponsor, 5 Star. You can go to 5starchemicals.com and learn about everything that there is to know about cleaning and sanitizing before you start brewing, which is what you should be doing in the first place. Cleaning and sanitizing your brewing equipment. And I'm getting this terrible hiss in my headphones. Do you guys hear that?
Yeah, I'm hearing like a...
Yeah, well, hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's on a headphone in and not... Why is it every time Jay leaves, like something goes wrong or some issue?
Well, it seems like I'm having to get the headphone up a little higher here. I mean, I don't know if it's just...
I don't know. I don't know what's happening, but hopefully it will be resolved at some point in the future by someone other than me, because... I don't know shit. Let's get Jesse on the phone. I told him we'd be calling him 16 minutes ago. So
okay,
let's get him on. And what is his beer again, folks? I think we just talked about it.
An Imperial Stout, American style.
It's American Imperial Stout. All right, let's check this out. Here's another one.
Hello, Jesse.
Hey, Jesse, it's Jason at the Brewing Network.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. How you doing?
Pretty good.
You ready for this? For us to taste your American Imperial Stout?
Yeah. I've been having a couple of them tonight myself.
Good. Is that why you're so quiet and then you're so loud and you're quiet again?
Jesse. Yeah.
Are you hanging upside down? What's happening over there?
Oh no. No, I think I'm not sure.
You're not sure.
I hear you guys pretty good though.
Okay,
I mean, you're coming through pretty good.
Okay, good. No, you're fine. We're just making fun of you because there's a big long pause.
He's either almost about to fall asleep or just totally delirious on Imperial Stout.
I don't think he finds JP amusing. I think that's what
maybe that's it.
Most people don't.
Okay,
Brian, do me a favor. Open the beer and pour some beer around so we can do this. And Jesse, let me ask you a couple questions, man. While we get the beer poured, how long have you been homebrewing?
Going on 4 years, I think now.
Okay, 4 years. And have you ever done an American Imperial Stout?
No, this is my first crack at it.
Okay, why the American Imperial Stout? What speaks to you about this style?
Honestly, it doesn't really speak to me. It's more of like I wanted to know if I can kind of brew outside of my comfort zone.
Okay.
So I stick to a lot of like light lagers, really approachable session beers.
There you go.
But I saw this, and it was a kit. Really, it's a kit from Northern Brewer that I got from about a year ago. And I just wanted to see if I can do it. I knew those limitations to my system, and then the fermentation would be a challenge. So I just wanted to see if I can pull it off.
Challenging as far as like the pitch rate and oxygenation and all that kind of stuff. Everything that comes. With the
pitch rate, the oxygen, the being able to extract all the wort, the sweet wort from the grain bill. It's a huge grain bill for a 5-gallon batch.
Yeah.
I boiled about for 3.5 hours, pulling off more and more runnings. before I finally kind of just gave up and I pitched some dry malt extract to kind of make up for the gravity.
Oh, right. Okay, sure. Okay.
But the fermentation was kind of a challenge too. That was his own beast. Just throwing in a lot of dry yeast, oxygenating it, the whole deal.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I like that that you're trying to push yourself and challenge yourself to brew stuff that you wouldn't normally brew. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right, well, let's get started on this. Brian, why don't you go ahead and start us off on this Imperial Stout here.
Okay, sipping the Imperial Stout here. The bottle has a nice fill on it. The proper fill level. This one's maybe a touch low, but not. It's acceptable. I'm getting in the aroma. It's richly malty, with notes of chocolate, some light roasts, a bit of coffee. I also found a little bit of kind of caramelized aromas in there, a little toffee-like below that, which might be from the extended boil now that you mention it.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to interrupt you, Brian. Before we get too far into it, there is a special comment about this beer that
okay.
I probably need to get better at passing on to you guys. Jesse, you used cacao liqueur and pecans.
Yeah.
In the boil and the mash.
And real pecans.
Okay. And then you used Jim Beam bourbon and then oak aged it for 6 months.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
That's all right.
Yep.
That I guarantee you that changes everything you two guys are going to say right now.
No,
right?
We're going to redo these score sheets. We'll be back in like 10 minutes.
No, we were just discussing that beer, and it's like, it's a little woody and boozy. I wonder why.
Was this aged in wood? Was my comment, and then I actually said coconut at some point as well, which isn't hazel.
Yeah.
It isn't
nutty.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, I feel like that's important to say.
Okay, thank you, JP.
Moving forward.
And please, entrants, put some of those details on your beer. Any ingredients you want to declare, just write them on the label that goes with it, because that's all JP gives us.
That's all I give him.
He
I don't even look at this other sheet. No.
She might be. It's a magical rainbow infused unicorn horn beer with.
And it's my fault. Ultimately, I need a
guys, taste this. It's a stout.
I need a better way to pass on the information, because I have the sheet, but it's everybody that's ever been on the show for the last 3 years. So
no, it's all good.
Yeah. Anyway, continue with the thing.
We work past those challenges.
That's right. You guys are professional.
One more caveat to the beer.
Uh-oh.
Is, I don't know if I wrote down the sheet. It's a clone of a Woot Stout from Stone Brewing.
Okay, the Woot Stout. Yeah,
that's
from
actually
their. I think
the
their
Woot
first
4.0.
iteration of the beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the Woot Stouts is on draft here tonight.
Woot 4.0 is out there at the Hop Grenade here.
This is a Woot 1.0.
Okay.
I remember.
Cool. There's some obvious alcohol here in the aroma. It seems fairly smooth, though. It's not really hot. I liked that. I found quite a bit of soy sauce in the aroma too, and especially once I got into the flavor, it was very evident in the flavor as well. But in a little, just a light booziness. But it's like the alcohol that's in there seems smooth, and the booziness from your spirits edition is not too heavy, so that's nice. Sometimes I can take over. Appearance-wise, it's a deep blackish-brown color with low light tan head. It pretty much dissipated right away. It should form more prominently there. Finer bubbles can end up bringing the glass around the edges. It's nearly opaque, but there's no obvious haze here either, so it seems like it should be fairly clear as far as that goes, but it's just super dark. Flavor-wise, again, richly malty as in the aroma with all those, chocolate, coffee, a little bit of caramelization, and some definite soy sauce flavor, quite prominent. No hops, the bitterness is pretty restrained, kind of medium-low, out of the way. Most of the bitterness is coming from the malt. It leans a bit towards the acidic side, is what I found. It's coming across with a acidic kind of soy sauce flavor. I also found that the heaviest dark malts, that roast and the dark chocolate, are just a little biting. So sometimes they can come across that way with a more acidic presentation. And if you adjust things to kind of keep the acidity in check, it won't be quite as biting. But something to work on there. It had a medium sweet finish. It wasn't really dry. It wasn't annoyingly sweet or cloying or anything like that. It was kind of where it needed to be in the finish. I like that. Definitely balanced the malt with a lot of smooth alcohol. And again, the wood, the booze, kind of light in the background. Mouthfeel-wise, it is medium full-bodied and a bit biting in the attack alongside a pretty firm alcohol warmth. It's not very creamy or smooth. It's kind of like what you would call just all coffee and no cream. Like that kind of. Some of the stouts have that kind of coffee and cream presentation a little bit, where it's smoother and more drinkable and approachable. This one is just like a little more biting and in your face with the acidity and the sharpness to it. So overall, I would say it's a pretty nice Imperial Stout. I would pull back on some of the darkest malts a bit to help smooth it out. It just screams, "Hey, look at me! I'm a stout." It's like the guy that just has to yell to get his point across. Like some of the guys in my club, Steve. Lots of flavor for sure. It's I don't know. I would suggest first, again, working with that water to control the acidity, making sure that your dark malts are balanced. With a water that's not also acidic, but also just pull back some of the darkest malts. I think the booze and the wood are nice where they are at. If you're gonna declare them, then enter it as a wood aged beer. I feel that they come through enough that you should. I
agree with that.
And it would be scored better, but I gave it a 32. I thought it's a nice. We judged it as an American Imperial Stout, but with the addition of those, could bring it up a couple of points possibly with knowing now what's in there. So, yeah, it's actually pretty good. Just a little acidic, a little biting.
All right, Keith, go ahead, dude.
Okay, aroma, strong alcohol aroma, wood, vanilla. ? Was this aged in wood? ? No hops, dark fruit, plum, hint of coconut, hazelnut. Faint caramel and medium roast and coffee. Everything in fermentation smells pretty clean there. Color-wise, deep brown, almost black, but not quite opaque. Very little head. Maybe alcohol is killing the head. I said light tan color. The head's light tan color, and there's a little bit of legs there too. Flavor-wise, I got notes of sherry. I don't think, Brian, you mentioned that. A little oxidation and sherry there. I get the soy sauce in the flavor as well, with a pretty strong alcohol flavor. Apple, prune, medium roast and coffee. Not a huge amount of sweetness, though, and I think the bitterness is medium-high. The balance between malt and and bitterness is nearly even, and I got a touch of sourness and flavor, but otherwise very clean. No hop flavor. Mouthfeel, medium-high alcohol, low carbonation, light roast astringency, no creaminess, medium full body. Finally, overall impression, I really, I thought it was an interesting beer. I would have, knowing that, now that what I know, probably changed my, what I was saying here, but I thought, this is misentered. I was guessing it was probably wood-aged. The woody and alcohol notes detract, and the sherry flavor, soy sauce flavors as well. As an American stout, I thought it was a little bit strong on some of those flavors. Everything else is okay. I thought it was a little bit on the sour side. I wish it would feel a little more. I don't know, maybe a little more sweet, I guess, or just And you said you boiled it a long time, so I'd be really interested in knowing what your mash pH was, and the final beer pH. As well, just I think with a longer boil there, that could affect that too. But overall, I think it would do better as a wood-aged Imperial Stout because it is pretty obvious on the nose and sort of the alcohol flavor as well. And at the same time, I don't know the nut from, I think, what was it again? It was
pecan.
I'm not sure I would have picked that out as pecan, but I knew there was something I tasted something. It could have just been normal, like natural flavor.
It's a bit nutty.
It is like a sweet, nutty kind of a thing.
Sometimes you get a little bit of coconut or hazelnut, and those aren't even the same flavors anyway. But you get some of those in some stouts anyway, or even some wood aged beers, vanilla stuff like that. They kind of cross some of the same flavor profiles for me at least. But anyway, I thought it was a little hot, and I said maybe age it longer. But now that adding straight alcohol to it would probably explain that. Overall, I gave it a 31. And like I said, I think it would do better as a wood aged beer over just a straight up 20C. So I think that's an important thing to note is when you're putting beers for categories. Maybe that was sort of we were expected to understand that the subcategory was 20C, but it's important to make sure you enter the stuff. Enter the beer in a category where that it fits the best. And maybe you felt it fit the best here. I'd like to talk to you about that and figure out if that's the case or not.
Cool. All right, Jess, what do you think, man? You got some questions for these guys, I bet?
Well, surprisingly, the beer did. I sent this beer to NHC. First round, it got a 33.5 and category 20C in San Diego.
Cool.
So it's more or less kind of like where you guys scored it. And the one question I had was where the soy saucy flavor coming from the water, where the astringency. I used reverse osmosis water, and you used a very light hand in calcium chloride and gypsum. I try to leave it real simple. So what other flavors and what other instances would I be able to pull that soy saucy astringency sourness from if my water was spot on good?
I don't think it's the water. I'm pretty sure that it's like a glutamic acid, and it's coming from the yeast generating it in combination with the dark malts and the acidity that's there. But yeah, yeast can have kind of an umami like flavor to it. It can kick some of those things out that taste a little bit savory. So it's kicking off that umami on your taste buds. As for the exact chemical, part of that, I'm not sure. But yeah, I think it's the acidic malts with the yeast. So I think pulling back the acidity would probably help control some of that too.
I mean, it's one of the tricks of using RO water and trying to figure out how to make a dark beer with that. It can be challenging, and it is hard to build up a water that can support that much roast as well. And how do you add, what do you add back to, there's a lot of people now use pickling lime. I haven't had a ton of success with that, but
pickling lime, all right.
Yeah, there's obviously baking soda.
I see your question is controlling the water, not something in your water that got through, converted to that.
So I think more, you might have pulled more from that the multiple sparges, that extended boil. Because I think I remember now that my mash pH was a little low, and then post boil I checked the pH again, and it was kind of surprisingly low, probably in the 4.9, 4.8.
Just come and get some of our Livermore water. It's nice and alkaline, like pH 8. Just get something with a lot of carbonate in it, a lot of, super alkaline water.
I'm not sure the water. And where do you live? I'm sorry.
I live in Southern California, in Riverside County.
Okay. Yeah, I just want RO water is a great option. It's just certain beer styles it is a little more challenging than others to make with RO water because the alkalinity, it's hard to build that up in RO water at times. So, there are ways to do it, but it is a little bit tricky and I don't think this is way off there, but that's something I would look to improve. The kind of I'm saying kind of the sweetness and there's some body there, and it's just the perception of it. It comes off to me as a little bit dry and biting, and more a little bit sour. Like not sour. It's just just a little bit. I don't know. It feels almost
like a tart, like a sharpness.
That's a good word. Sharp is probably a good word. And I think water would have a big part in that, and mash pH. And for something like this, you're going to boil that long. I would really shoot in the high end for the mash pH, like 5.5 or something along those lines.
Yeah, just doing it with minerals and RO. You're throwing so much, trying to get things in there that don't dissolve very well either, like chalk and and putting
you can do that. You can
baking soda in there and stuff.
You can take chalk and throw it in a seltzer bottle, and try to carbonate it and keep it in solution and all that sort of stuff. Get it cold, but it's challenging and it's hard to it's something you want to keep a close eye on for a big beer like this.
What's the recipe here, Jess? You want to give us that?
So the grain bill is 12.5 pounds of Golden Promise, 2.6 pounds of white wheat, 2 pounds of American two-row raw, pound and a half flake rye, 3/4 of a pound of English black malt, half a pound of crystal rye, half a pound of light Kazakhstan, 8 ounces of toasted pecans that were toasted by the manufacturer, 3/4 of a pound of English roasted barley, and then 3 ounces of a cacao liqueur, which was it looked like Nutella, but it was a real thick paste.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the yeast, I used 5 packets of Stayfield 05 and 375 ml of bourbon. And that was it. RO water, some gypsum, some calcium chloride. Light on it, pretty much the same profile of soft water I would use for all my other beers.
Yeah, I mean, the recipe seems cool. It's an interesting recipe, and it's balanced. You definitely used enough yeast to keep the alcohol fairly smooth, so that's good. When you read off the
probably a soft water issue.
Yeah, yeah.
You guys are kind of saying
that the water shouldn't be that soft.
Yeah.
And then, did you put the pecans right in the mash too? You read them along with the mashed ingredients, a lot of it, but did you do them in the mash? Or
yeah, it was 3 ounces went into the mash and 5 ounces went at flame out.
Okay.
And they stayed in fermentation.
Yeah.
Whatever I can pour in from the kettle into the bucket. This beer's about a year old as well.
Yeah.
It's for about 4 months. Yeah.
It's coming from the age a little bit.
Yeah. And I wonder, we talk about brewing dark beers like this where the grains will affect the pH, but I wonder if in this it doesn't sound like there's a whole lot in there. So maybe there wasn't enough to affect the pH in a harder way as it normally would with a normal stout, or am I just kind of crossing my material here?
You lost me there.
Well, like we talk about, in brewing dark beers, right, that the dark grains affect the pH. They make the water kind of hard, right? Yeah, they're acidic, right? So in this recipe, it didn't sound like there were too many dark grains. There was kind of a lot of crystals and a kind of middle.
Yeah.
There were two.
There was
dark
more
grains.
of the middle malt.
But it's kind of light. And so I wonder if you were making another, like a normal, I guess, quote unquote, Imperial Stout, you would have more of the dark grain material, and then that would be able to adjust your water a little bit differently. And maybe Jesse was counting on that.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, dark grains are always going to make it go lower, and I feel like the problem is it's already too low to start with. And I mean, and you're starting
it'll turn softer.
Well, dark grains will make the pH drop, which will make it seem more acidic in the final beer.
The darkest grains are where most of that acidity is coming from. Yeah, I don't think caramel malt necessarily is all that acidic on its own.
But don't we want it harder versus softer?
You want the harder water versus softer, yeah.
So where am I wrong? Well, where am I wrong right now? I'm trying to figure it out.
Although
water is not easy.
Hardness is calcium and magnesium. We could talk for an hour about water.
Okay.
Hardness is calcium and magnesium. Give me the 30-second version of your hour speech. The alkalinity is, and there's a temporary hardness and permanent hardness, which we can talk about. But the acidity of the water is just the pH, and it has with the more of the carbonates and the certain ions in the water that is it the negative ions that pull it towards being more of a base, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can have a high pH in certain areas, but not have a lot of alkalinity, and it's still not very hard for it's not, use the word hard, it's not very difficult to bring the pH down.
It's much easier to make your water more acidic.
Sorry, this is, we're
add some acid, but getting into...
it's not as simple as what I said.
Getting from a softer water to a harder water to a more alkaline water is trickier.
RO water, you're starting off with almost a clean slate, which means then you need to build up from there, and that's what makes it kind of tough, and it's I started in San Francisco water, which isn't it's nearly a clean slate, but even with that I have some alkalinity there, and I still have a hard time with really dark beers keeping the pH high enough without I have to add, like I said, pickling lime or baking soda or chalk. All of those, and try to do different things. I don't want to put too much baking soda because then you add too much sodium to the beer, and sodium's okay in small amounts. But with RO, at least can start and you can build from there, and you can do it. Yeah. And then there's other ways to do it as well, just to throw out there, like the Gordon Strong method of, hey, I'm going to add my dark malts at sparge, let's say.
Or when your mash is just about done, then drop them in sparge to it, or even just steep them in the boil.
But it'd be kind of fun. We should mess around with this, and this should be one of those brewlosophy things.
Yeah.
That, like, hey, take the pH of the final beer when you put the dark grains in the mash versus the dark grains in the sparge versus doing a cold steep versus using Cinnamar. Like, do all those different options and then just see where the pH is for the final beer for all those, and then do a taste off of all those. I know they don't have that many.
I agree. That would be fun. Yeah, somebody call Marshall and we'll figure something out.
Anyway, sorry.
Jesse, do you have any more questions?
No, man, that's it.
Okay. Have we thoroughly confused you?
I know. He's like, I hope they just stop talking.
Yeah, he's like, all right, I'm done. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you throwing this beer out to us and for putting up with our delays and stuff like that. I appreciate it, man. Keep on keeping on.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, we'd love to taste the lagers too and the other beers you make.
Oh, absolutely.
Well. It's a tasty beer.
Oh yeah. I only sent this one up because I ran out of the lager. Like, when I got the email back and I was ready to send it in, I checked the keg and it was empty. I was like, I got to send something.
Well, that's for sure. That's
send
for
JP
sure,
another lager then for next time.
All right, Jesse, we'll let you go. Thanks, dude.
Definitely.
Cheers.
Thank you.
All right, man. Later. Cool.
Yeah. Dark beers can vary so much. I mean, there's such a wide variety of ways they can express themselves.
Speaking of expressing yourself, Brian, the Homebrew Label Awards are back.
Yes.
Submit your artwork at homebrewlabelawards.com and let your homebrewing peers shower you with votes. The labels with the most votes can win fabulous prizes. Pretty easy, huh? Last year, we handed out over $5,000 worth of prizes to the winners, and this year, Homebrew Label Awards are doing it again. If you don't have any labels, that's no problem. You can still go over to homebrewlabelawards.com, check out all the cool labels being submitted, and cast your vote for your favorite one. Help your fellow homebrewer achieve fame and glory at homebrewlabelawards.com. Okay, we're going to take a quick break here, folks, and then when we come back, we're going to be drinking another beer, talking to another homebrewer. Same old, same old. It's Dr. Homebrew. Hang on, we'll be right back.
Hello, fellow BNers. This is Sully from the 21st Amendment Brewery located in San Francisco, just 2 blocks from Giants Park. Before Nico and I opened the 21A and before I was a professional brewer, I homebrewed on my small 4-burner apartment stove in a back house in Santa Monica, California, making my extract brews before graduating to the daunting idea of all-grain brewing. Homebrew books and information was hard to come by back then. The internet hadn't been invented yet, along with other things we take for granted today, like electricity and potable water. One thing I wish I had back then when I was learning was a radio show that could teach me the ins and outs of brewing and answer questions that I had about homebrewing, a resource for making great craft beer. The 21st Amendment Brewery is excited to be a proud sponsor of Dr. Homebrew, a great show that teaches you what you need to know about making incredible beer. Good stuff. Listen up, you might learn something. I certainly did. And thanks for your support. Tasty Crack Kings.
Since the first time the Brewing Network microphones turned on, More Beer was behind it. More Beer sponsors the programming on the BN because, like you, they love brewing. And like the Brewing Network, they love sharing their knowledge. Morebeer.com isn't just a website to place your next equipment or ingredient order. Morebeer.com also gives you access to free beer information that will make you a better brewer. Go to morebeer.com and click into the Learning Center. You'll find podcasts, technical facts, video tutorials, and more, including access to The Buzz, More Beer's social network of more than 5,000 members. And some of them might even be crazier about beer than you are. Get over to morebeer.com today and take advantage of The Buzz, the forum, the Learning Center, and make sure you're signed up to receive the newest More Beer catalog. More Beer, bringing you absolutely everything for beer making. Now, back to the examination.
Hey, welcome back. It's Dr. Homebrew. I was just bitching about how my voice is going out. It feels strained, like I'm having to really force the air out of my voice or whatever. And I don't know, man. I've been talking a lot. I mean, we have, we moved and having problems with the people who bought our old house, and we're going to have to go to small claims court on it, and it's just, so I've been talking a lot, talking to our lawyer, talking to our real estate agent, then relaying all that information to my wife, and then and it's just, fuck, it's all I do is talk, and it's all I do is talk, and
you probably shouldn't talk about an ongoing case on the air.
So you should just burn the old house down and the best way with their insurance claim.
Well, I don't have it anymore. It's sold.
While the new people are there.
Yeah. And it's not ongoing yet. We hasn't been filed. So I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like I did shows. I did our Ears Up shows last night, and then I did the session on Monday. Then this fucking show, and talking to everybody. My voice is just it's starting to get scratchy, man. So hopefully I can finish the second show. Okay, let's get Jim on the phone here, and like that. While we do talk to Jim, well, we'll save that live read for later. What do you think about that?
I'd be happy to take over any live reads that you want me to do, JP. Because
Jim, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hey, how you doing, bud?
Doing good, thanks.
We have your beer in front of us. What kind of beer did you send in? What style of beer did you send in?
It's a West Coast style double IPA.
Okay. Is this
bordering on a triple?
2.5. We'll call it that.
Yeah, exactly. Times 3.5.
Is this one of your favorite styles? Is this a go-to style? Why did you brew this beer?
It's sort of my interpretation of a Pliny the Younger clone. And the first craft beer I ever had about 7 years ago was a Pliny the Elder by pure luck. And I kind of fell in love with that style, and when I started brewing 3 years ago, this was my go-to, pretty much.
Okay. Hey, that's good enough, man. Nostalgia is a great reason, to brew, man.
Yeah, what a fun accent. You gotta...
Have you done this style before? In this recipe before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. This is probably about the fourth or fifth time I brewed this over the last 3 years. So,
are you trying to tweak it out still, or do you have your recipe pretty much nailed down?
I'm still tweaking, especially with amounts and timing of the additions. Now pushing more of the hop additions towards the end of the boil to see what that does to the flavor of the beer.
Do you like that? Do you like what it does?
Yeah, I think it rounds it out a little bit because we use a pretty large hop shot charge up front for the bittering, and with other earlier boil additions, it seemed to be a little too much.
Okay.
So I think this kind of smooths out, like I said, kind of rounds it out a little bit, I hope.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get into it then. Keith, you want to start us off on this Pliny the Younger clone, please?
Sure, I would love to. So, aroma-wise, get medium pine, light citrus, faint tropical fruit, fairly big malt. I get some moderate caramel, a little bit of honey, and then some papery aroma as well. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. Smells very clean in terms of fermentation, maybe just a touch of acetaldehyde. I'm getting a little bit of a pumpkin, fresh pumpkin smell there, but otherwise very, very clean in terms of fermentation. Also picking up some alcohol on the nose as well, but it is hidden by a little bit behind some of the other aromas. This one looks a little bit hazy today. The one I had in my last night was in my fridge for a little bit, and it was not disturbed at all. So it was brilliantly clear, deep gold, really, really pretty. Low white head, not a ton of head there or head retention. Maybe alcohol again is affecting that some, but you can see some legs there too. But yeah, really a pretty good looking beer. So flavor wise, I'm getting medium malt, medium low hop flavor, some pine citrus malt. Is sweet with notes of caramel, and I'm getting some sherry oxidation going along with that too. Bitterness, I would say, is medium high for this style. But yeah, probably medium I'd go with, but not really harsh in any way. It was I like the bitterness on this. It didn't really stick out like it was like there was a water issue or anything like that. I really enjoyed that bitterness here. Got light red apple esters. It finishes a little on the sweet side and a little on a little bit bitter. I thought the sweetness was a little heavy for the style, and again, a slight touch of acetaldehyde coming across as maybe a green apple / pumpkin. Mouthfeel medium plus body. I thought it was a little high for a double IPA. It makes a little more sense now hearing that it was a sort of a triple IPA. Medium high warming, medium carbonation. No, I didn't get any astringency. Thought the hopping wasn't causing any astringency or anything like that. But yeah, no creaminess, nothing else really to talk about in terms of palate sensations. Overall, I thought maybe kind of my fault. Like, you gave me this bottle. I think it was probably JP, I think he gave me this bottle maybe a month and a half ago, and probably was a lot fresher then.
Probably.
And right now it tastes a little bit more like a small hoppy barley wine, and maybe not even small, but maybe a paler barley wine than a double Imperial IPA. It could be the age. But it tastes pretty sweet. But hearing that it's a triple, that makes a little more sense. I thought it was a really good job in terms of fermentation. I would like to see a little bit more dryness. I'm not sure how much sugar you're using, but that once again could be because it's a little bit bigger than the normal double IPA, and could have been really great fresh. Maybe I'd love to hear about what you're doing with hops after we're done with this. But hear a little more how you hop it, where you put the hops in. Where you're getting your hops, etc. Overall, I gave it a 30. Like I said, I thought some of that's on me. Probably like a month ago, probably would have been a little bit higher score. But still a good beer. Just a little bit. Now I'm like, almost consider entering it as a pale, sort of barley wine, sort of some sort of in between sort of style.
Okay.
All right, Brian.
All right. In the aroma, there's instantly kind of an oxidized hop quality to me up front. It's hop forward. The hops character is tropical with slight resinous and a little bit of floral I found in there. Seems clean otherwise. There's definitely some alcohol, which to me kind of expressed itself in a slightly solventy way, but not intensely so. But it's a big alcohol in there. Malt wise, there's just some breadiness and a light caramelly malt in there. There's definitely some malt complexity in there, which keeps it interesting without going overboard and throwing the balance off. So I kind of like that. Appearance wise, mine I probably abused even worse than Keith or than the one JP brought for us tonight. Keith did it right and judged his at home, but I judged one earlier here that I had brought over, so it was a little bit shaken up and it was pretty hazy. So, but not too murky. It was just there was a medium haze to it, and probably from the transport. Deep golden color, low white head that faded pretty quickly to a color of fine white bubbles. It didn't persist very well. Flavor wise, definitely medium high hops, but again with that kind of stale oxidized hop character. There's some bready malt with light caramel in there again, just supporting it and kind of keeping it interesting. Maybe a little toastiness. The alcohol heat is prominent in the flavor as well as it was in the aroma. It's a bit boozy, almost like I don't want to say. I hate to say the word paint thinner about a beer, but it's got a little kind of a paint thinner-ish kind of quality to it. It doesn't taste like I'm drinking paint thinner because I do that often at home, but
it's the only way I can sleep.
Yeah, it's the only way I can sleep. Finish is medium dry. There is a little hint of sweetness left in it that keeps it from going bone dry. I thought that was fine though, but it does definitely have a little bit of kind of a honey-like sweetness to it and a little alcohol sweetness to it. So it would point to maybe the ale fermentation or the solvent would point to a little bit of maybe stress in the fermentation, but still it's definitely balanced to the hops. It's just it's past its prime, and granted again we sat on it for a month and a half or so in the bottles, and I'm sure it tasted a lot different back then, so our bad there. These things are meant to be drank fresh.
That's true.
Mouthfeel wise, medium body. You could stand to lighten that up a little bit, maybe with some sugars or something, but additional sugars, low carbonation. Need to bump that up a little bit. No creaminess, low astringency, and definitely some firm alcohol warmth in there. It wasn't burning down the back of the throat though, so mostly in the flavor and the aroma I got a little it's a little hot, a little solventy, not intensely so, and then the mouthfeel, it's not too bad. So but overall, the problem to me was just the stale oxidized hop quality. You want to use obviously the freshest possible hops to start with, and then avoid oxygenating them after your primary fermentation goes on. If you get any oxygenation at all in this beer, it's going to go downhill fast. And Keith and I were at his house brewing a beer, and he did something that I never do, and I won't,
you made good beer?
Actually, well, we made okay beer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I brought a keg because he was going to transfer some of the beer we'd brewed into it. Then I had Star Sand it, which is an oxygenating sanitizer, right? I mean, it does tend to put out some oxygen, right? So he actually rinses his kegs before he fills them. I mean, it's sanitized, it's clean. As long as your water's clean, there shouldn't be a problem. Or your water doesn't have any, any chlorine in it, especially. So it's a little risky doing that to me, but I let him do it to my keg, and it didn't hurt the beer. It probably kept it holding up a little bit longer as well as it could. It wasn't the best beer. We had a weird brew day and globs of honey. I'm getting way off topic here.
Yeah, you are.
But it was a 2.5 IPA. Yeah.
Yes, it was a similar beer.
His tits right
so it kind of reminds me of this one. Actually, this beer was probably better than ours. But yeah, I definitely want to reduce that alcohol heat a little bit, along with bringing up the.
Where was that story going?
It was going nowhere. It was just that basically it was.
Why did we hear?
It was an attempt to bring me down. I think it's all.
No,
okay, so.
All right. It's just you want.
The point is, yes, I know
you want to go to great lengths to keep oxygen out of a hoppy beer.
Okay. Well, I would then propose, if you're worried that much about it, then don't use Star Sand to sanitize your kegs.
I just wouldn't sanitize.
Well, I mean, there's enough alcohol that's gonna. Any water you put in there is going. I would not use, but use Iodophor, for example.
Right. IOStar, right?
Yes, IOStar. Yes, thank you very much, Keith.
Sorry.
I'm just kidding. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, just take care of the ferment, pitch vigorous, healthy, plentiful yeast starter. I landed on a 28 for this beer. I thought it was probably in mid-30s earlier, but it's just gone downhill. I can see that it was a good, well-brewed beer.
We just had
some
to push
minor
the
things going on.
Dates back a little bit. So sorry, Jim. That's my fault.
Yeah, no problem.
Oh man,
actually, it's not really my fault. I'm taking the heat for that. That's not
Where does Jim live? We'll come drink with him in his garage.
There you go. He lives on the sun.
Okay.
You were just there.
I was just there.
Yeah. Do you have any questions for the guys, Jim? You want to talk a little about some?
Or his recipe?
Or recipe?
In hopping, I'd love to hear the way you hop the beer.
Let's do all of these.
Oh, sure.
And clean.
Yeah,
after you sanitize the keg, what you do with it. But go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So the grain bill is pretty much the standard from Vinny, where it's just a combination of 2-row carapils, and you guys are right there. There's some caramel 60 in there just for coloring. To mix it up a bit, I now split my base malts 3-to-1 ratio, 2-row now with Maris Otter. So some of the Maris Otter biscuitiness, I guess, is coming through. It sounds like. And I do use corn sugar, about 6% of the total weight there in the grain bill is some corn sugar for trying to make sure the beer dries out and help jumpstart the fermentation.
Yeah, I like mixing U.S. Pale and Maris Otter. It gives the malt a little more complexity without it getting too heavy and crazy. So that's kind of cool.
I thought a 3-to-1 ratio there was hopefully enough to kind of get it in there, but not to your point, not overwhelm it.
Yeah,
and still be true to the to an IPA there.
Mm-hmm.
So on the hop side, we're using the hop shots. Try to keep down some of the trub there, and I think we used 40 milliliters in a 12-gallon batch size. So those extracts are used up front for the bittering. Then I push pretty much all the hop additions now to 20 minutes and later with some Simcoe and Centennial. And then at Flame Out's really where the largest hop addition. In the 12-gallon batch, I think we put in 14 ounces total, equal amounts of Amarillo, Cascade, and Centennial at 3 ounces each, and then 5-ounce charge of Simcoe. Finished out the boil hopping. And then in dry hopping, I did 2 different charges, 3 days each, with equal amounts of Amarillo, Centennial, and Simcoe. And we kind of split this batch. We did half of it with just Cal Ale, and the other half.
So how much was the dry hopping? Sorry to interrupt. Jim,
I'm sorry?
How much was the dry hopping in terms of amounts?
For each of the 6-gallon, or between 5 and 6 that went into the separate fermenters, there would have been 6 ounces total in each of those. 2 each of Amarillo, Centennial, and Simcoe.
Okay.
And again, one charge for 3 days, and then I didn't purge, but I put on top of that the last with the 3 ounces of those 3.
You got pellets or pellets? Whole
yeah, they're all pellets.
Yeah.
Down from Yakima Valley. I thought they were fairly fresh.
It smelled good. Yeah.
Hop shot?
Yeah, they did.
The hop shots were like
extract.
Or you doing both?
He does hop shot for bittering, and then what he's talking about is the pellets that he added for dry hop.
All right,
and the rest.
Sorry if I missed that.
Yeah, and it turns out you can get a whole tin of the hop shot. Almost comes like in a liquid form that when you freeze it, it's kind of a wax that you can just warm up and then create your little syringes to save a lot of money instead of buying those individual 5 mil.
They're 5 mil and they're 5 and 10 mil is what they sell normally. So you're using 40?
And they're fairly expensive.
Yeah, 40 is a lot. I thought 40 would be I would never come close to using 40 in a 10-gallon batch. So I think 40 for a 12. Not that we're getting a ton of bitterness anyway. And I think this probably you're somewhat passing like how much you can probably bitter a beer. But I think 40 seems like
it seems. Yeah, we'll probably damp that down because the more I look at it, and to your point, it's probably overkill as far as you've saturated. You're not going to get anything more out of it, and. So our next batch will probably cut that down to 30 and see if there's anything noticeable and save a little bit of money as well.
Yeah, you're getting a lot of citrusiness from the hops you're using, and a little bit of pine from the Simcoe, a little resin.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's funny you mentioned the oxidation. So the club I'm in, I had submitted the same beer. This was actually brewed back in June, so you guys are getting kind of the staler version of it. But you're right. In the competition I entered it in, it scored 34. So it was more closer to the mid-30s. So I think you guys are certainly spot on with your evaluation.
My boys.
Yeah, I can taste out kind of how it would have been. Yeah, that same beer that Keith and I did, eventually it did go downhill. I didn't drink it fast enough. And, after a month and a half or a couple of months, it was like, okay, do I want to finish this? It's okay. It's drinkable. I pass it off to my friends. Here.
That's why I passed it off to you, actually.
You like this?
I gave you the rest of it first. I was like, here, finish up. Here, take the rest, Brian.
Finish off this keg.
And we also got the same evaluation with respect to there being some oxidation notes even back then. So I was talking to a couple guys in my homebrew club, and they showed me a system that they've kind of rigged together to basically have a closed system transfer to eliminate any oxidation. So we're going to try that in our next batch that we brew next month.
I mean, you can also, sometimes during a transfer, I'll purge the fermenter, secondary fermenter with CO2. You also want to make sure that your transferring equipment isn't bringing any oxygenation in, like where your tubes come together. If you see any little bubbles coming into it, that can be a source of oxidation. It's just, they got to go to great lengths to keep it out.
You're right. That's definitely been the biggest criticism we've received on these beers is that there's that oxidative characteristic that definitely want to work on improving that. And I think our fermentation was actually pretty good. I had 2 3-liter starters for these, and they seem to
I think it's just it had a lot of alcohol in it, and as it's sliding downhill, some of those other flavors are in there. The alcohol just kind of some of the hop flavors are dropping away a little bit, and the alcohol just comes through more, so it's not as balanced as
you're
it
right.
once
So
was.
it's kind of a barley wine. I think we finished out around 9.7 on the ABV on this.
Wow.
So it was just a pretty big bowl.
What was the finishing gravity?
It came down to 10.10 actually.
Okay, yeah.
Wow, that's pretty good,
it
man.
finished out smoothly.
Yeah,
low,
alcohol's kind of sweet, though, too. So there's some perception of sweetness from alcohol, and even hops that sometimes you get a perception of sweetness from those. So it sometimes tastes a little bit sweeter than it actually even is. I mean, I think it's fun. I think it's a fun beer. It'd be kind of neat if you have bottles left to age it a year and see how it comes across then. And it's kind of like a smaller barley wine, or not even that much of a smaller size it is, but yeah. Yeah,
that's a good suggestion. We still have probably about a growler's worth in the keg. Brewed some other beers this summer, so it's a good idea. We'll just bottle that and see what happens from a barley wine perspective.
Yeah. Well, hey, let us know if you do that.
Will do.
All right, Jim, if there's nothing else, we'll let you go.
Great. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate the feedback.
Thanks so much for sending in.
Yeah. All right, have a good night.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Cool, man.
Yeah, I feel
cool.
a little bad about Jim's beer. I wanted to taste it.
It's fine. He said he even had oxidation in June, so it's all right. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Stick with us.
know the three most important rules in brewing: sanitation, sanitation, and sanitation. And no one does it better than 5 Star Chemicals. 5 Star knows sanitation. You can only sanitize clean equipment. And 5 Star knows how to clean, too. For craft brewers and home brewers, 5 Star has what you need to keep your fermenters, serving tanks, kegs, and draft lines sparkling and free of any beer-spoiling bacteria. PBW, caustic, acid cleaners, Star Sand, SaniClean, lubricants and defoamers, pH stabilizers, and more. 5 Star Chemicals has cleaning supplies, safety supplies, heat exchangers, pumps, hoses, and valves. And 5 Star is proud to offer eco-friendly products that exceed customer expectations. If you have a cleaning problem, you need the 5 Star solution. Visit 5starchemicals.com or call 800-782-7019. 800-782-7019 and get the 5 Star treatment today.
Are you a member of the White Labs Customer Club? If not, you should be. It's the easiest way to earn free stuff for turning in your old homebrew labels from either Vials or Pure Pitch. All you have to do is save your labels and redeem them for things like free yeast, an exclusive White Labs t-shirt or sweatshirt, and even the opportunity to brew with the yeast man himself, Chris White. Signing up is easy. Just go to whitelabs.com/customer club, fill out the registration form, and then mail in your labels. They will return the favor by sending you awesome White Labs swag. Go sign up today at whitelabs.com/customer club. White Labs, pure yeast and fermentation since 1995.
I'm sorry to tell you this, but we're going to have to pour you out.
Back to Dr. Homebrew.
Hey, thanks for sticking around. I appreciate it. Appreciate you and everything you do.
Go get yourself a coffee stout.
I know, right? Coffee stout, whatever. Before we get on to the winner of the $40 grog tag, At Least Your Beer Will Look Good gift certificate, I do want to remind you guys that if you haven't yet joined the AHA, you really don't know what you're missing. They have the Zymergy magazine. They have, more importantly, the Brew Guru app, where you can link your membership and you can find out all the places around the country that give you discounts on beer and food and all sorts of weird stuff for being an AHA member. And then you can show the bartender or the waitress or the bar back if you want to go. Hell, go into the kitchen. I'll tell you what, come down to the Hop Grenade and go directly into the kitchen. Anytime you want a discount, you have to go into the kitchen to show the people in the walk-in your thing. It's a secret thing. Nobody knows about it for sure.
Yeah. Right? I used my discount up in Bend. We went to the Deschutes Public House there for lunch one day because my wife and I had been there like shortly after we met, dozens, not dozens, but over a dozen years ago.
How old are you? Jesus.
We've been married a dozen years. Anyway.
2 years.
So we went there. We went to a family reunion in Sun River. I used my AHA discount this time, so I got $1 off of my pints there. It was good.
Awesome. Glad you used it.
I used it.
There you go.
And they didn't even say, what's this thing? They didn't. They didn't question it.
Aaron will know. Aaron just walked in. So, Aaron, I'm telling everybody right now that if they're an AHA member and they have the Brew Guru app, they shows them they get like $1. He doesn't need a microphone. And then you get like a discount on beers or whatever.
I want to say hi to my mom. No.
And then to show that, but they have to in the Hop Grenade, they have to come into the kitchen. So don't approach the bar with the discount. Walk right back into the kitchen and stand there and wait, and then show the thing.
Stare
what do you
at
think?
the cook.
Is that appropriate?
No, Eric will run into you.
But the kitchen's so big and roomy. There's plenty of room. It'll be fine. All right. Anyway, AHA, everybody, support the AHA. They support you, and you support them, and then they support you, and then you support us, and they support us, and then we support you, and we support them, and it's a whole thing. It's like the summer of love, but
no
reach around.
Yeah, it's a circle of love, or the summer of love, but without any brown acid. So we're okay there.
Better than the summer of hate.
Okay, $40 gift certificate to.
Is that this summer, Brian?
Pretty much.
We're going to give away the $40 gift certificate to Grog Tag. Go to grogtag.com. Customize beer labels, bottle caps, metal signs, tasting mats if you do tastings and stuff like that for your club, coasters, all sorts of stuff. Check them out.
I ordered a tap handle for our... So if you enter Oktoberfest this year, the deadline's tomorrow.
Okay.
Our competition, you get a customized tap handle that was made by these guys.
By Grog Tag. Oh, that's cool.
With your and so we used to give out a plaque. And it's like, let's do something different this year.
Dope.
And we got a tap handle that says, 2017 winner, Oktoberfest.
I never got that plaque, by the way.
Talk to...
I know who has it. Some guy from the club I used to be in has it. He still has all the awards that year I won.
All right, who won the gift certificate, ladies and gentlemen?
It would be Mr. Jim Pence.
You guys might as well just pass Reader's Digest back and forth to each other.
Now I wonder...
Reader's Digest, the large print for the two old people in front of me.
Oh, man.
Just talk.
So Jim wins.
Jim wins the gift certificate to Grog Tag. All right, everybody. Good job. Good job.
I don't think people have entered low-scoring beers yet just to get that prize, but it might become a thing.
It might. You never
our
know.
loser wins here. It's weird.
Thanks to Jesse and thanks to Jim for sending in beers. Thanks to you guys for listening. Thanks to Brian and Keith for sort of staying on. No, not at all.
None of our winners,
on topic at all.
None of our winners are losers.
That's true.
None of our entrants are bad.
All right, goodbye, Brian. Okay.
Where's my plaque?
All right, it's just me now. Everyone else is broken. I feel like I'm at Chuck E. Cheese where the band doesn't work. The band's all broken down and haggard and shit. Anyway, it's been Dr. Homebrew, everyone. Thanks for sticking with us, and we'll see you next time.